welcome back to day 5 of the Crochet Society Advent Crochet Along. Today we are going to be adding this colour to our blanket. I am going to be working on a slightly smaller scale to what you are. You will have a lot more of these hexagons across. You'll have 4 of the purple and 3 of the green, but the pattern is still the same, so I'll give you instructions on how to carry on and also show you how to finish off the row and move on. Okay, so just a few notes before we get started. For the next few days we're going to be working from one side of the hexagons upwards, and then also it's handy for you to have some stitch markers so that you can mark the first stitch of the row, and that will help when it comes to finding your edges and keeping your edges straight. You will also need an extra or a couple of extra stitch markers as well for this particular row. So let's get started with row 1. You want to go ahead and make a slip knot on your finger, however you prefer, and insert your crochet hook, and we're going to start off with a standing treble crochet. So we're going to start this standing treble in the second chain of the first chain space. So here is our first chain space, and then we have 1 and 2 chains. So it would be this second chain here. So for our standing treble, what we're going to do, we've got our slip knot on the hook. We're actually going to yarn over and hold the yarn on the hook like so. We'll go into that second chain, and then I'm just going to grip the tail end just here. Yarn over and pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, and then we're going to complete a treble like we would normally. Yarn over, pull through 2, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and that is your standing treble crochet. So you might just want to play around with it there. As you can see when I've demonstrated, I've just gone a little bit loose with that slip knot, so you can just take it out and practice it again. So pull through and then pull through 2 and pull through 2. So that is a little bit better for me now. So that is your standing treble crochet. Obviously that's a UK term. In the US that will be a standing double crochet. So you want to go ahead and place a stitch marker into that stitch so that you're marking your first stitch. We're then going to do 1 treble into the back loop only of the next stitch. So that's this one just here right next to the chain. If we were to work in it normally, it would look like this, but we just want to work into that back loop. So we're going to do 1 treble into that stitch, and then we have a pattern repeat. We're going to start the pattern repeat by doing 12 trebles into the back loop only. So into that back loop of that next stitch, that's 1, 2 and 3. Go ahead, pause the video, work those 12 trebles, and then meet me back to finish off this pattern repeat. Okay, so once you've done those 12 treble crochets in the back loop only, we're then going to do 1 treble into the first corner chain. So we've got these two chains. So you want to go into the first one and do your treble. We're then going to chain 2 and then do a treble into the next corner chain. And then we're going to do another 12 trebles into the back loop only. So this is your first one. We'll do 1, 2 and 3. And then pause the video, complete those 12 trebles, and then meet me back in a moment. So once you have done those 12 trebles, that brings you to the connection of where these 2 hexagons are. So here we're going to do a 4 treble decrease, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to yarn over and place the hook into the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 2 loops on the hook. We're then going to yarn over and put the hook into the first chain in the corner of this first hexagon, the one that we're working in. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 3 loops on the hook. We're then going to go into the chain of the next hexagon, so the second chain of the next hexagon. So that's yarn over, insert into that chain, yarn over, pull through, and yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 4 loops on the hook, and then yarn over into the back loop only of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. You'll have 5 loops on the hook, and then it's yarn over, pull through all 5 loops on the hook. And then you want to go ahead and place a stitch marker into that stitch, just so you're super sure where that treble 4 decrease is. So there we have it. And then we're going to start from the beginning again. So you'll start off with those 12 back loop only treble crochets. So where I indicated where the beginning of that pattern repeat was. So if you want to go ahead and work that pattern repeat all the way across each of the connections, you'll do that 6 more times, and you'll end your final repeat just before the decrease. So you won't do this decrease on your last one when you get to the other edge. So go ahead, work your way across, rewind if you need to, and then meet me back when you have done your last 12 treble crochets into the back loop only, and I'll show you how to finish off this row. Okay, so once you come to the end of your project, you're going to do your final 2 trebles, 1 and then 1 into the end. And then it says to place a marker into the last stitch, which I shall do. And then turn the work. So we're now on to row 2. So for row 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3. And this counts as our first treble crochet. So now we're going to do a treble crochet into the next stitch, and then we're going to miss a stitch, and then we have a pattern repeat. So our pattern repeat starts here, and we'll do treble, chain 1 and miss 1, and again treble, chain 1, miss 1, treble, chain 1, miss 1. We're going to do that 6 times in total. So we've just done 1, 2, 3. If you want to do 3 more, and then meet me back once you're ready. So I've just done my final treble, chain 1 and miss 1. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 treble, chain 2 and 1 treble into this chain 2 space. So treble, chain 2, 1 and 2, and treble into that chain 2 space. And then we're going to do chain 1, miss 1 and treble. So missing that first treble. So essentially doing it backwards down this side. So that's chain 1, miss 1 and treble. And we're going to do that 6 times in total. So that's 1, 2, chain 1, miss 1, treble, 3, chain 1, miss 1, treble, 4, chain 1, miss 1, treble, 5, chain 1, miss 1, treble, and that's our sixth repeat. We're then going to miss 3 stitches, so this is the next stitch, the special stitch that we did before, so the treble for decrease, and then another one, and then we're going to repeat from this section 6 more times. So we'd miss these 3 stitches, and then we'd start off with that treble, chain 1 and treble, and you do that 6 times. So rewind to where I indicated the pattern repeat starts if you need to, and work that all the way across. So you'll do it 6 times in total. Your last repeat will finish just before you miss the 3 stitches. So work all the way to the end until your last treble crochet, and I'll show you how to finish off this end and move on to row 3. Okay, so once you've done your last 6 repeats on this final edge, we are then going to miss a stitch and then work a treble and then a treble into that last stitch, which will be where your stitch marker is. And you want to go ahead and place your stitch marker into that last stitch. Turn our work, and then we'll move on to row 3. So for row 3, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and this does count as a treble crochet. We're going to start off with a treble. I'm just going to take this stitch marker out and move it up to that first stitch. We're then going to miss a stitch, and then we have a pattern repeat again. So we're going to treble into the chain 1 space. So we've missed a stitch, we'll treble into that chain 1 space. And then we're going to do a raised treble back post. So a raised treble back post is where we yarn over, go from back to front to back around that post, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook. So we have that raised treble back post, and we're going to do that 6 times. So starting again, it will be treble into the chain 1 space, and then raised treble back post. So that's 2, treble into the chain 1 space, and raised treble back post. That's 3. Go ahead, pause the video, work that 6 more times, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so I've just worked that 6 times, and that brings us to the chain 2 space of the corner. And in this corner, we're going to do a treble, chain 2, and a treble. And then we're going to work our way back down. So again, we're going to complete this little section 6 times in total, but this time we're going to start off with that raised back post treble crochet. So around the back of that next post, and then into the chain space with a treble. Around the back post with a treble crochet, and then into the chain space. So we've just done that twice. Pause the video, repeat that 6 times, and then meet me back once you're ready. We're then going to do a raised treble back post, and this stitch is going to be done around the 2 stitches on either side of the 3 stitches missed on row 2. So we can see our stitch marker here, and then we have 2 stitches. Now this is where we're going to do that raised treble back post. So it's yarn over. We're going to come from the back forwards in front of this first stitch, and then insert our hook around those 2 stitches, and then bring this yarn through and finish off that treble crochet. So we're catching 2 stitches on that raised treble back post. So after you've done that, you're then going to repeat from where I indicated again. So you'll work into the chain 1 space and then do the raised treble back post all the way up to the peak and back down again. So rewind the video if you need to, and then you're going to finish your final repeat after you've done the raised treble back post and the treble into the chain 1 space. Meet me back when you come to the end and I'll show you how to finish off and move on to the final row for today, which is row 4. Okay, so after you have finished those last stitches, so you've just done your repeat 6 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, you should finish off with that treble into the chain 1 space. We're then going to miss a stitch and then do 2 trebles. So 1 and then the last one in the last stitch. We can go ahead and move up that stitch marker. Turn our work, and then we're ready to do row 4. So for row 4, we're going to chain 1, and this does not count as a stitch, and we're going to double crochet into the first stitch. So it's going to be at the base of that chain 1 just here. So it's a single crochet in US terms. We're then going to do a pattern repeat. So we're going to miss the first stitch and then do 13 double crochets. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. We're going to do 1 double crochet into the chain 2 space. So double crochet, we're then going to place a stitch marker into that stitch like so. I'm actually going to move up my stitch marker because I didn't do that at the beginning. So I'm going to move that up like so. And then we're going to do 13 double crochets. So find our next stitch and do 13 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. We're then going to repeat from the beginning. So we'll start off with missing a stitch, doing 13 double crochets, double crochet into the chain 2 space and place marker, 13 double crochets and repeats. So you'll do that until you have the last 2 stitches remaining. So go ahead, work your way across and meet me at the end and I'll show you how to finish off. Okay, so I've just worked my way across and I have 2 stitches remaining, which is correct. What we're going to do in those last 2 stitches is miss a stitch. So miss 1 stitch and then double crochet into the final stitch, and then we can fasten off our yarn. So go ahead, take your scissors fasten off. And then that is the end of day 5. So there we go. This is what your work should be looking like, obviously just on a wider scale. So please make sure that you keep us up to date with your progress. Tag myself, Crochet Society and Rosina Plain so that we can see your makes. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again in the next video.